Hello everyone. I hope all of you are safe. I know you are all tensed because of the upcoming examination, plus there's so much of confusion and all. But I'm going to do my best to explain these 30 MCQs of course 201 Quality and Management of School Education. So, watch the entire video to understand all the MCQs. Today we'll be dealing with Unit 2 of Course 201, that is Managerial Practices, Human and Infrastructural Resources. Let's begin with the first MCQ. A dash is a person who delivers an educational program, assesses student participation in it, and administers consistent leadership to the program. The options are option A headmaster, option B teacher, option C supervisor, and option D parent. Over here, the correct answer would be teacher, that is option B, because a teacher is the person who does all these three activities on a daily basis. MCQ number 2. Who has said the following? The teacher's place in society is of vital importance. He acts as the pivot for the transmission of intellectual traditions and technical skills from generation to generation and helps to keep the lamp of civilization burning. Options are option A Swami Vivekanand, option B Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, option C Tagore, and option D none of the above. The correct answer here would be option B Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. The the others have also spoken about a teacher. These are the words said by Swami Vivekanand and these by Tagore. If you need to memorize who has said what, just look at the key points over here. Swami Vivekanand talks about a teacher coming to the level of the students and understanding exactly what goes on in the student's soul and getting to know him from within. And that is how teaching him. Whereas Dr. Radhakrishnan talks about a teacher's place in society and how he acts as a pivot for transmission of knowledge, etc. And Tagore talks about a teacher with reference to a lamp. So a lamp needs to keep on burning to give light to others. Similarly, a teacher can never stop learning. That is what Tagore has said. So if you just remember the key points over here, it'll be easy in solving any of the MCQs. Moving on, which of the following is not a human resource for a school? Option A teachers, option B parents, option C students, and option D headmaster. Here, option C is the correct answer. Students are not part of the human resource for a school. MCQ number 4. Which among these is not a role of a teacher? Option A mentor, option B fostering relationship, option C resource provider, and option D learner. Here, options A, C, and D are all the main functions of a teacher, mentoring, providing resources, and even learning continuously. Whereas fostering relationships with, say, parents or other people is not the basic duty of a teacher. So the correct answer would be option B, fostering relationships. MCQ number 5. The following are the roles of which human resource? Role model, regular at school meetings and gatherings, everyday connection with student, help children become independent. Options are option A teacher, option B supervisor, option C parent, and option D headmaster. Here the correct answer is option C parent, because a parent is the one who comes in contact with a student on a daily basis, whereas the teacher, supervisor, headmasters, they meet the student for a short span of time, say 5 to 6 days a week. MCQ number 6. What is pre-service training? The training received by teacher during the course of their service. Option B. The training received by teacher while they are getting their educational qualification. Option C. The training received by teacher before they enter into service as a teacher. Option D. The training received by teacher after 2 years of service in any institution. The correct answer is option C. The training received by teacher before they enter into service as a teacher. Now, what is pre-service? Pre-service, the word is pretty self-explanatory. Pre means before, service is the work. So, before starting any kind of service, the training received by an individual is pre-service training. Okay. In this training, the teacher gets to know knowledge about the theory that she is going to teach, the different methodology that she will need to use during her teaching lessons, and also get in touch with the core qualities to be a good teacher. MCQ number 7. What is in-service training? The options given are the same as the last question. In this context, in service means during service. So, the training that a teacher receives while they are in service as a teacher is known as in service training. So, option number B over here is the correct option. The training received by teacher during the course of their service. As Rabindranath Tagore has said, a lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. Similarly, a teacher cannot continue teaching without updating her knowledge. Hence, this in service training has begun, where the teacher's knowledge is updated via different kinds of activities that are done so that she gets knowledge of the new curriculum or trend or say ICT, so she can continuously develop and update her knowledge. MCQ number 8. Which of the following is an institute of pre-service teacher training? Option A, NCERT, option B, workshops, option C, seminars, and option D, orientation programs. If you see the options carefully, for a pre-service training, there needs to be an institution that teaches the learner teachers before they start teaching in any school or institute. So NCERT over here, that is option A, is an institute that has opened colleges all over the country for education of teachers before they begin teaching. Whereas workshops, seminars, orientation programs are activities that are held for existing teachers to update their knowledge. The same question can be asked in a different format. Look at MCQ number 9. Which of the following is a mode for in-service teacher education? Option A, B.Ed. Option B, Faculty Development Programs. Option C, SCERT. And option D, D.Ed. The correct answer is option B, Faculty Development Programs. The other options of B.Ed, SCERT and D.Ed are all modes of pre-service training of any teacher. So you are doing B.Ed now, you cannot teach the high school section without this degree. So it is a pre-service training. Whereas if you have already received B.Ed and you're teaching in a school, to develop your knowledge and understanding of different and new techniques, every year the school arranges for orientations or workshops or faculty development programs. So all these are in service teacher education. MCQ number 10. What is the need for pre-service training? Option A, to learn specific skills, new techniques and approaches, to understand and apply new curriculum, trends, etc. Option C, awareness about day-to-day problems faced in class. And option D, updating knowledge of science, technology, and application of the same. The correct answer is option C, awareness about day-to-day problems in a classroom. Because this is the only point that an existing teacher need not be taught about. A new teacher needs to be taught about this. That is why it is included in a pre-service training. The other points are applicable for in-service training. MCQ number 11. What is the need for in-service training? Option A, practice in new teaching techniques. Option B, give information about education policies. Option C, awareness of rights and duties. Option D, to promote capabilities to inculcate national values and goals. A teacher who is already teaching already has information about the education policies, the rights and duties, and national values and goals because she has learned it in the pre-service training. Practice in new teaching techniques. So the techniques which have come up after her training are something that she needs to know. So this will be included in the in service training. Option A will be the correct option. Next MCQ number 12. A school must not dash. Option A, be in a good location. Option B, be in a safe area. Option C, must have free space. Option D, be next to a highway. Here, option D would be the correct answer. A school must not be next to a highway. Yes, it must be accessible to all the children, but keeping it really close to a highway increases the chances of accidents, noise, pollution, etc. MCQ number 13. A fine building makes a fine school and a poor building a poor one. What is your view about the above statement? Option A, the statement is correct. Option B, the statement is wrong. Option C, can't say. Option D, the statement doesn't make sense. The correct answer is option A, the statement is correct. Because to make a fine school, you need a fine building too. A poor building will definitely decrease the quality of a school. MCQ number 14. Which of the following must be taken into consideration while planning a school building? Let's go point wise and decide whether it is to be taken into consideration or not. Point number 1, safety and well-being. So yes. Point 2, beauty. Also yes. Over here, beauty means that the entire school needs to be cheerful, pleasing, and even attractive. Option 3, open to future adaptations. Yes. And option 4, economical operation and upkeep. So it has to be economically correct also. So yes, all 4 points are correct, and that is why the correct answer here would be option D, all of the above. All the 4 points need to be taken into consideration while planning a school building. MCQ number 15. Dash is a process by which a leader influences or persuades others to strive willingly towards stated objectives or goals. Option A, motivation. Option B, leadership. Option C, human resource. And option D, quality management. The answer would be option B, leadership. Leadership is the process where a leader influences other people to work willingly for any given goal or objective. MCQ number 16. Autocratic leadership style is also known as dash. I will be telling you about the different styles of leadership in a while. Let's continue with the options. Option A, leader centered style. Option B, group centered style. Option C, laissez faire. Option D, individual centered style. So leadership are of different styles. There are multiple styles, but for our lesson we will be studying only 6 of those styles, and autocratic is one of them. Over here, autocratic means that there is one leader, one manager, and he gives instructions to the team, and the team has to follow it without any argument. So I will further explain it in the next slide. For now, the answer would be leader-centered style, that is option A. An autocratic leadership style is also known as leader-centered style. Look at this diagram. This shows a really clear picture of the three main leadership styles that we are going to be studying today. Just now we spoke about autocratic leadership style. As you can see, the circle with an L in the center, that is the leader, whereas circles with letters A, B, C, D and E are the team members. So the leader has given an instruction, the arrows point towards that. So the instructions are going from the leader to the team members, and they have to follow it without any argument. Whereas in the next style of leadership, that is democratic, it's just like our country follows: for the people, by the people, of the people. So here the leader is at the center, and there is communication between the team members as well. So it is like a collective decision. The leader is always present to supervise or manage, and the other team members are also given equal chance to decide and give suggestions. The last style in this picture is free rein leadership style. Over here, the leader is sitting outside the circle, out of the group, and all the decisions are being made by the team members themselves. So each individual decides for himself, and he need not even consult with the leader. That is why this is called free rein leadership style. Free rein is also called laissez-faire, as I spoke about in the last slide. Laissez-faire is a French word. It also means individual centered. So these three styles are clear. Autocratic is leader centered. The leader gives all the rules and instructions. Democratic is group centered. The group as a whole decides and takes decisions. And free rein is individual centered, laissez faire, that is, each individual decides for himself. MCQ number 17. Dash is a group centered style of leadership. This you know now already. Um, Option A, autocratic leadership style. Option B, democratic leadership style. Option C, free rein leadership style. Or option D, none of the above. So the answer will be option B, democratic leadership style. MCQ number 18. Which of the following is not a characteristic of free rein style? Free rein style is laissez-faire or the individual style, where the leader has given full freedom to the team members to decide and take decisions on their own. So let's find out which characteristic does not belong to this style. First one, full faith in subordinates. It is a characteristic of free rein style. Decentralization of authority. This is also a characteristic of free rein style. Formal relations. No, there are no formal relations because there are no formal relations because the leader has given all the authority to the team members. So the relationship is pretty cordial and friendly. Next, independent decision making system. Yes, over here everybody is making decisions independently. Fifth, downward communication. So no, because the communication is two-way. Everybody is communicating with everybody. Uh, Point 6, sense of responsibility in employees. Here, the employees are responsible for their own actions and they're taking their own decisions. So this is also a characteristics. So out of the list, point number 3 and 5 are the only two characteristics which do not belong to free rein style. So our correct answer would be option B, options 3 and 5. MCQ number 19. Which of the following are a disadvantage of autocratic leadership style? Let's go point wise just like last time. Point 1. Delay in decisions. There are no delay in decisions because the leader is the only one taking the decision, so it is pretty quick. Second point, possibility of partiality. Yes, this can happen. This is a disadvantage because the leader can favor anybody that he likes. Point 3, high level motivation. This does not happen. In fact, there is lack of motivation among the team members as they don't have any opportunity to suggest or give their opinion. Point 4, lack of importance of managerial post. This is also not a disadvantage as the managerial post is the most important over here. So there is no lack of importance. Point number 5, less productivity. Yes, there is less productivity because when the morale of the employees fall, it directly affects the productivity. And the morale of these people fall because they don't have the motivation to continue working. So this. So the correct option for us would be option A, point 2 and 5. MCQ number 20, which is not an advantage of democratic leadership style. Option A, quick and clear decisions. Option B, quick acceptance of changes. Option C, peaceful industrial relations. Option D, availability of sufficient time for constructive work. Option A, quick and clear decisions are not one of the advantages of democratic style of leadership because in this the group is consulted while taking decisions. Hence, a bit of time is lost during this process. Whereas the other points are all advantages of this particular style. MCQ number 21. Dash is a series of organized activities conducted for increasing knowledge, capabilities, and positive work attitude of all people working at all levels in a business undertaking. Option A, laissez-faire. Option B, leadership. Option C, quality management. And option D, human resource development. We know that option A and B are definitely not the answers. Option C, quality management, regards the quality of all the things, infrastructure as well as human resources. But here they are talking about increasing knowledge, capabilities, positive work attitude, and all. So this is definitely human resource development. MCQ number 22. According to you, what are the characteristics of a good leadership? Let's go point wise on this. We'll circle the ones that are proper characteristics of a good leadership. So, cooperative relations, yes. Independent decision making system, no. Open communication, yes. Fourth, tight and close supervision and control, no. Fifth, centralized authority, no. Sixth, belief in employees, yes. So we get 1, 3 and 6, which is option number C. Options 1, 3 and 6 are characteristics of a good leadership. MCQ number 23. What are the functions of a teacher with reference to personality development of students? Once again, let's circle the correct answers. Disciplinarian, yes. Confidant to students, yes. Evaluation is not really a function when it comes to personality development. So, no. Role model, yes. Agent of social change, yes. So, all these 4 points are needed to be showcased by a teacher for the personality development of any student. So, the correct answer would be option C, all except option 3. Question 24. An ideal headmaster should not be question A. Option A, leader. Option B, over participative. Option C, adaptable. Option D, subjects master. Here the correct answer would be definitely option B, over participative. A headmaster needs to be a leader. He needs to be adaptable to the various situations that he encounters or comes across. And he also needs to be a subjects master, even though he need not have in detail information about all the subjects, but he needs to know most of the matter for him to be able to guide and guide the teachers properly. Question 25. Dash is also known as authoritarian leadership style. Option A, democratic leadership style. Option B, transformational leadership style. Option C, transactional leadership style. And option D, autocratic leadership style. Look at the word authoritarian leadership style. So authoritarian means authority. There is only one style over here, that is autocratic, where the authority is centered in one person. So the correct answer is option D, autocratic leadership style. Here the leader has all the authority to make decisions. We have already discussed autocratic, democratic, and free reign leadership styles. Let's discuss the other three. Transactional leadership style is a style in which a system of rewards and punishments are used. So it's like a transaction where if something good is done, it is rewarded, whereas all the negatives are punished. So that is transactional leadership style. The next, that is transformational leadership style. Over here, the leader does not limit himself to his fellow members' perception. He likes to transform and change their perceptions according to the requirements of the situations. So when that is done, the team member is excited in doing whatever the stated objective is. So basically, the leader transforms the perception of the team member to support the final outcome. That is why transformational leadership style. And the last one, that is paternalistic leadership style. The word says it all. Paternal means father. So here the leader treats his fellow team members as a son or a daughter. So he behaves like a father. So he would take care of them and work with them as a parent would do with his child. So this is basically a style where the leader behaves like a father to the total team. Moving on, question 26. Under which kind of leadership style are the leaders control oriented? By now you should know this. This is option B, authoritarian leadership style, because this is where the leader takes the total control of all the decision making. Authoritarian and autocratic are different names of the same thing. Question 27. Which leadership style is also called hands-off leadership style? Options are laissez-faire leadership style, option B, democratic leadership style, option C, authoritarian leadership style, option D, transactional leadership style. So the style in which the leader gives away all the authority to the team members is option A, laissez-faire leadership style. That is free reign leadership style. This is hands off. He hands off all the authority to the team members. Question 28. The authoritarian leadership style is best used when the team members are dash. So let's take the correct answers. When the team members are highly educated, no, because then there will be a conflict with the leader. And authoritarian leadership is where the leader takes all the decisions. So the team members, if they're highly educated, it's going to create a lot of problem. Point 2, have less understanding. Yes, the team members, if they have less understanding, they will follow the leader. Third, are not capable of taking decisions. That's also correct. Fourth, skilled and experienced. No, if the team members are skilled and experienced, it will cause problems. Point 5, less educated. Yes, they will then listen to the leader without argument. Point 6, loyal and trustworthy. The leader does not consider them loyal and trustworthy, and hence he takes all the decisions. So that is also not a point. So here option number 125 235, that is option A is the correct answer. Options 2, 3 and 5. Question 29. Which leadership style requires highly educated, skilled, and experienced team members? Now, as we know, authoritarian leadership style is when the people are less educated, they don't have experience, and they can't take decisions. So, this is the exact opposite of that. Here, the members are highly educated and experienced. So, this will be option D, laissez-faire leadership style, that is free rein leadership style. Only a highly educated, skilled member can take decisions individually. He need not consult the leader. So that will be this option. And the last MCQ for today. Which of the following is not a function of human resource management in education? Option A, staff development. Option B, job performance reward. Option C, planning of a school building. And option D, procurement of staff. So here answer C. Option C is the correct answer. Planning a school building is not part of human resource management because a school building is a infrastructural resource and not a human resource. That's it for today's lesson, people. Thanks for listening patiently. I hope I was able to clear doubts and also revise your matter and get you prepared for the test. If there are any queries, you can always comment in the comment section. Kindly subscribe to my channel to get updates of all my new videos and hit the bell icon so that you get a notification every time I upload a video. Thanks guys and be safe.